With that being said, let's get into the news, shall we?
Let's do it.
We got Google Pixel 10a preview. This is a story that you brought on the put on the docket. I'm gonna let you run with it.
All right, let me get this pulled up for us because I got off like a crazy man on the Clipchamp story. So, all right. Google is getting ready to give us a brand new phone. The Google Pixel 10a arrived in the, as you said, arrived in the most modern way possible. And my buddy Kareem here, he was the one that actually put this on the website. I'm actually going to read you a little bit of what he wrote. He said he was scrolling through his news feed when a short teaser made by Google flashed by, hinting at a familiar silhouette and promising pre-orders would open February 18th. That was enough to get him to the official Google Store page. Was it enough to get his credit card out of his pocket? Is my question. The teaser
It was not
it
yet.
was not. So basically, what we're seeing here is the Pixel 10a is the new entry level phone. Slight spec upgrade. We're seeing 120 hertz refresh rate, a 48 megapixel main camera, paired with a 13 megapixel ultra wide on an AMOLED display with a 1.3 megapixel selfie camera and 8 gig of RAM with 128 gig storage and a 5100 milliamp battery. The chipset is expected to remain the Tegra G4, which I think is getting a little long in the tooth. I think it's time to upgrade that a little bit. Let's see if there's anything else we had. Looks like they're available for pre-order February the 18th for $499. $499. Pretty good little price for the Pixel 10a if you're buying it outright, or you're a Google Fi user, or you just like to buy your phones outright and not have that commitment to a contract or not have that commitment to somebody else's service. So I'll give them that. That's a pretty good little entry level looking phone for those that prefer that. And I think a lot of people could get by with an entry level phone. We just like to buy the expensive ones because they're shiny and have all the features. So, I know you wrote it up, but what was your opinion of the phone?
I love these phones. I love the FE series. I love the A series for Google. I guess I don't forget what the equivalent is for Apple, but probably just their last year's bot or whatever. I like the idea of this, and I'm hoping consumers, as to our earlier point about the foldables, start to realize what it is they use their phone for. They'll start to either hold on to their flagships longer, or start moving to these. And again, teaching your kids also that these are the adequate phones. These aren't hand-me-downs. These are brand new phones, but it's the software experience at this point. Now, the cameras I think are as top notch as we're going to get, without putting a red camera into a phone itself. I think we're even I have, like I said, I have a 9A. It takes amazing pictures. The phone is very sleek, very it's kind of a small phone, but the software experience on Google software is awesome. I wish some things it performed differently on my Galaxy phone that is a flagship. I have the Edge. There are times where I use just the software and the 9. I'm like, man, this is really nice. This is if I can get that on this flagship, it'd be great. So again, I'm hoping people will flock to these phones this year. Save yourself $500-600 if you're thinking about getting a flagship. Perhaps maybe get this instead until something worth your money comes around. And I'm not saying that the trifold is worth $2,800, but maybe Apple's iPhone Fold is where it's at because it's booklet style. Maybe when the other companies follow suit and we start to experience wider phone experiences, more stuff on the screen, makes you feel like you're doing more. Maybe that's it, versus just having two skinny apps side by side that you're only doing as much as you were before. So who knows? I like it. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get Oh, go ahead. Unless you want to put something a period on
No,
that.
I was going to say, I think you bring up a good point. I think it's time for, and I think people may adopt more of this phone because financial times are tough. That cheaper device has a little bit of a better look to it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more enticing in my wallet. I don't think I'm gonna be upgrading to any fancy phones this year. Um, that being said, we're gonna move over to Microsoft is signaling that it wants to um, take security and um, quality assurance seriously. They just announced
This
that
time,
they this time, not last time that they did this, or the time before that, or the time before that, or the time before that. But this time, they're serious, ladies and gentlemen. They're so serious that they put two new people in charge, unlike the last times before. We have two new executives that are going to be dedicated to elevating security and engineering quality within the company. They're both vice president roles. I believe the first one is Hyatt Gallup, who is rejoining Microsoft as an executive vice president of security. Gallup previously spent more than 15 years at the company before moving to Google Cloud. So, you know, learning something there and hopefully bringing it back. And this is where she served as president of customer experience over at Google. So that's not nothing. Nadella highlighted, and again, Nadella wrote these announcements, sent it to the company in a presser, basically. Nadella highlighted her history with Windows Office and the design of Microsoft security solutions area. And he's calling her leadership and ethos and a blend of product building and customer value realization. I think I'm all for it. We're mocking that they've done these transitions before. I'm hoping that this one sticks because if so, it's a win-win for everybody. We also have Charlie Bell, who will be shifting to engineering quality. He was previously leading Microsoft security, compliance, identity, and management organizations, but he'll now focus exclusively on engineering quality. Again, Nadella describes the transition as something Bell has wanted for some time, noting that he's energized to return his hands into engineering work. But the framing also reflects a broader corporate need of Microsoft's quality excellence initiative. I think that was 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe, has kind of been underway for a little bit. We haven't heard a lot about it. They've hit some press release here and there when they shuffle people around. But again, they're reassuring that they want to increase accountability and accelerate progress against our engineering objectives to ensure we always deliver durable and high quality experiences at a global scale. And I think that's a quote from Charlie. Again, it's not unusual that Microsoft does this. The timing is interesting though, because you and I were talking about Mike that it feels like since they've introduced the Windows Insider program, quality assurance at Microsoft has kind of taken a hit. And I think that's indicative of, outsourcing the product itself. They don't have people in-house QA. It's kind of a double-edged sword. When you outsource it, you start to run into more problems with people doing all kinds of random configurations that you couldn't even think about when you're doing your own quality assurance in-house. But when you do that, when you bring it in-house, you at least know what to tell people, hey, this is what the product is designed for specifically. And when it's designed for this, it will work this way, and it should every time because we've tested it and broken against this exact configuration every time. Now, if you do something else different, that's on you, and we'll figure that out as we go. But at least this core functionality should work. And I don't think people feel that confident about Windows 10, Windows 11 having core functionality that just doesn't break, that is rock solid. And again, if you want to connect it to 5K monitors and run a bunch of different things and then it breaks, that's on you. But if I just have it on a laptop, it should not be, freezing or breaking or doing these things because you have your QA in-house and you've tested it and you run it and you've hired someone, you pay them a livable wage to make sure that they break that thing so that when you do deliver it to actual consumers, it won't break, at least not in that configuration. So I'm looking forward to these two roles. And again, I'm not saying that Charlie Bell is going to be over Windows Assurance, but he's going to be having to address, both of them are going to have to address Azure, Windows Office, and some other, I guess there are other AI initiatives as well to make sure that these are quality and secure things going forward. What are your thoughts?
I'm glad to see this. I think this is something which, we kind of made a half-hearted joke there, but I think there was some truth to that joke. Windows needs some QA, needs some quality assurance. I know that Microsoft has to make an operating system that works on a large plethora of devices. From various OEMs, they don't have the advantage that Microsoft does or Apple does of making the hardware in house and having control of the hardware and the software. I get that. But I do think the basic core functionality of Windows, to your point, needs to work on all devices, regardless of what you have it installed on. Now, if you go installing third party software and things go a little haywire, I can accept that. But the simple thing of you drag a file to your OneDrive folder and you drop it and it doesn't show up 100% of the time in OneDrive the way you expected it to, that's unacceptable. Those things should work directly out of the box.
And as far as security is concerned, Microsoft's been in, we've highlighted it here and other smaller publications, but they've been in some big security issues.
They have.
They've had some big security issues regarding Exchange in particular, some things through Azure, and hopefully, I believe there was what's it, the Bill Gates memo back in the day where it was like, we're going to shut everything down and just focus on security. And they kind of went back into the drawing board and made it, the companies were complaining back in the early 90s about Microsoft's security apparatus. And, as the company was growing, I think they basically had one. I don't remember the exact terms for it, but it was something along that line. Bill Gates was saying, hey, everyone stop what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Security is the only thing we're going to move forward with and make it more secure, because we're getting government contracts, we're getting international customers, things like that. And they did really well for a period. And then they kind of got away from that. So hopefully this is that moment for them. It doesn't seem like it's a house on fire email from Nadella, but I think, these moves are signaling that at least. So we'll get cross.
That's okay.